Attention all grill masters and backyard barbecue enthusiasts. Lynn's has everything you need to make your 4th of July cookout a success. From sizzling certified Angus beef steaks and mouth-watering burgers to fresh cut fruit and all the condiments you desire, we have you covered. Browse our weekly ad for celebratory savings like 39 cents per pound seedless watermelon through July 4th and shop online at lynsgrocery.com for extra convenience. Lynn's, where delicious begins.
The mighty and resilient Merrimack River, carving through the communities of our great region. My name is Linda Lorden, proud president of Merrimack County Savings Bank. And like the river that serves as our namesake, we're a constant yet ever-changing presence. Because to us, it's bigger than banking. It's about powering communities and putting people first. It's about knowing where you came from and where you're going. That's Merrimack style. Visit us at themerrimack.com.
You're listening to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, the show that proves no one stumbles upon success ever. With your host, Lou Need. Every Mondays and Thursdays, we deliver cold hard evidence behind the power of a robust morning routine. Get ready to be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lois, and today I have the honor of introducing a very special guest to the show, Reed Davis. He is the expert in functional lab testing and holistic lifestyle medicine, and he has over, my goodness, I don't even want to date it. Let me tell you, he's been working the Wellness Center here in Southern California for over 10 years. And they had tons and tons of clients, and they were, he has served in so many American Natural Wellness Coach Board and the American Association for Wellness. You are all things wellness and holistic, and you are certified in holistic health practitioner as well. So with no further ado, let's jump right into it. I'm looking forward to this talk. Reed, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lenny. It's very nice to see you.
Yes, it's an honor. So tell us, you've been in this field for so long. Tell us about the journey.
It's been very interesting, and thank you for the opportunity. My entire goal is to help people. I've always been a helper. Even when I was a kid, I liked to help little old ladies across the street, like a good Boy Scout.
Yeah.
I grew up in Canada. They still do things like that up there.
Mm-hmm.
No, I've always wanted to help people. But in the 90s, I was really helping the planet. I was saving the planet. I came out of my post-grad work was actually in environmental law. Mm. So I was literally air, birds, water, trees, bees, devoted to cleaning up the planet. But around 1999, I decided to work with people. I said, this environment is killing animals and insects and birds, everything, the water, the air. And I thought it must be harming people too. So I'm going to turn my attention now to what is it doing to people. Well, it just so happened that my son was seeing a chiropractor at a wellness center. He was a high school athlete in those times, 1999, 2000. And so I started talking with his chiropractor. She was a wellness thinker, and she gave me a job to run her clinic and do anything I wanted to help people. You can help people here. So I went back to school, the nutrition and all the things that I studied. But the most important thing that happened was I noticed that I'm an observer. I noticed the people coming in the office had all seen 6 or 8 or 10 different practitioners already.
That happens.
They weren't getting helped by standard medicine. They were actually, back then we called it, you have your ladder against the wrong wall. You're climbing this medical, and it's not going to make you better. You might treat one thing or one other thing, but you're not going to get well, really get well, super well.
I mean, the pharmaceutical industry is $1 billion industry, and it's not designed, this is just my own word. I hope no one takes it personal. It's not designed to cure anything. It's just putting a Band-Aid on things, right? Symptoms, dealing with the symptoms versus the cause, and really the root cause on how to effectively heal.
Yeah, exactly. So people were getting symptom relief and management of their symptoms
Yeah.
but they weren't getting better. They weren't improving. And therefore, they're actually caught in a downward spiral. If you only follow that path, as you know, you're going to need stronger medicine or surgery. Hey, let's just cut those parts out. You don't need those.
Yeah.
So people were coming in with this frustration. And I thought a couple things. First of all, I didn't have any health problems, so I'd never been to a doctor, and I didn't know what the standard medical system was like. And I was learning quickly that it wasn't working. At least it wasn't working for these people.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, how am I going to help them? Number one, their point of view was off. I thought, why are you putting your health in someone else's hands? Why are you depending on, you think the world's going to make you healthier? No. Remember, I came out of environmental. I said, the world's going to make you worse. Trust me. If you just leave it to the world, you're going to get sick and have problems, because it's a rough world out there. It's already killing all the birds and bees and air and water and trees, and all that's going downhill. So what about us, So you have to take control. You have to, this was my initial impression, was we need to do something. You need to do something. You can't just keep going from one practitioner to the next, praying that, praying's great, but we got to do some investigation. So I knew I had to investigate. And thank God I was able to run labs, like any labs, like all the alternative labs of the day, what are called functional medicine labs now. They were just called kind of sorcery back then. We were running saliva testing, urine testing, stool testing, not your standard blood work. People who had that standard blood work were told nothing's wrong with you. You look fine. It's come back later when you're really sick.
By then it's too late.
Yeah. So people were putting trust in the wrong system, and nobody was really getting to the underlying causes or conditions. So the other thing I thought very naively is, well, I'm going to be the last person you need to see for your chronic downward spiraling degenerative stress-related condition. It was almost all some kind of stress-related, whether it was environmental stress, mental, emotional stress. A lot of people had injuries, physical aches and pains and things. So their bodies were breaking down.
Yeah, inflammation.
Their bodies are breaking down. I started studying the hormones, the immune system, digestion, detoxification, energy production, nervous system. For 10 years, I worked there, and I saw thousands of their patients from a whole new perspective. So I wasn't a doctor. I was an investigator. I was a good researcher. And I said, I'm going to be the last person. But I had a lot to learn. Let me put it to you that way.
Yeah.
But
what did you prescribe them? What was your prescription, right? Because
here's the thing. You got to back up just a little bit, please. Let me tell you that they had enough prescriptions for drugs and things. So first I had to figure out this pattern. It took me years and years to figure out the pattern: hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, nervous system. That spells hidden, HIDDEN. So you can remember the causal factors are way upstream, sometimes very far removed from the symptom, where another doctor might say, oh, it sounds like thyroid, it sounds like irritable. No, trust me, there's all kinds of dysfunction around the body, lots of dysfunction to share and go around. Lots of cells and organs and systems is involved. So it took me 10 years to figure out a pattern, HIDDEN. Then comes the recommendations. Now, I don't call it a prescription, although it is. It's recommendations for what that person could do to try to live themselves out of the problem. For the most part, they live themselves into it, combined with the environment and other factors. They landed where they are, and now we need to reverse it. So you're going to have to change. You have to make some changes. So because I can't write a prescription, not a little, I can't write a drug prescription. No way. No one wanted that. Not in our office. And that doesn't work anyway. like you said in the beginning, you said, well, that treats symptoms or manages conditions, which isn't always bad. If a system is going down fast, you need medicine.
Yeah.
Going down fast, you talk to your doctor. If you have time to work with the body, if you have time to heal, then we can do labs that tell us what needs healing. I call them healing opportunities. You like that? Instead of diagnosis, healing opportunities. Could be, again, hormone. They're out of balance. The immune system, overactive or underactive. Digestion, you're not breaking down and assimilating nutrients. Detoxification, your liver's congested and you're stinky all over every cell, tissue, joint, whatever. So there's a way to sort that out. And
so you're resetting the body so it can start working at its optimal, right? So it's almost like hitting a reset button.
Well, I wish it was that easy, but it's similar in theory that you need to reset your hormones to get them balanced, but you can't do that independently. That was some of my biggest discovery, because I started with hormones. Most of the people coming in our office were women in their 40s and 50s and 60s. They had aches and pains and all kinds of problems with their skin or migraines or asthma or even ADD, chronic fatigue, so overweight, foggy thinking. Well, there's multiple causes.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a doctor and I didn't want to just write a prescription. Here's your diagnosis. Here's your prescription. They were coming to us to get away from that.
Yeah.
People actually willing to do some work and invest. They had to invest in the lab work because insurance doesn't pay for a lot of this lab work. It's completely outside of the medical model. Financially, theoretically, methodology, it's all different.
Give us a case scenario then. What that would look like. You run the test, you got the labs, you see some of the issues. What's the, how do you start the process of that healing? What is recommended? We
run our labs. This is what I learned to do. Initially I was learning, and I really specialized for a while in the hormones, then digestion, then liver test, detoxification. And so it was a long journey. It was 10 years, thousands of labs with thousands of people before I was able to put the step-by-step, the kind of system. Some of these things just occurred to me. Like I was observing. I had great mentorship. Don't get me wrong. The lab scientists, some doctors, great people. And I learned a lot. But I made my own observations also. And that's where this functional diagnostic nutrition, what I kind of created was a system of investigation and then the all natural protocols, which we didn't get to. But a typical case is someone's stuck. They've been everywhere. Nothing's working. And I had a lady who was coming in. She was getting some chiropractic care, starting to do a little investigation into all of her problems. But one day she walked in the office and was just really upset. And I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Oh, it's this weight. I'm 40 pounds overweight and it's really frustrating." And I said, "Well, yeah, let's get going on that. And she was mad. "There's nothing I could do," she said. "I'm on this medication for the hives." She gets big blotchy hives all over her body. And she's on strong medication for it. And it made her gain weight. She said 2 years she's been on this medication. And, I'm trying to get a word in. And she goes, "Oh, Reed, it's so frustrating." She goes, "I was just at the doctor the other day. And I told the doctor I'm very unhappy with the weight, very frustrated with the 40 pounds. According to her, that doctor said, "Lady, you can be fat or you can have the hives. Take your pick." In other words, the medication is the only solution. There's no other way. That's just take your medication or go have the hives. And you have and so she said, "Well, doctor, that's very disappointing and depressing." And he said, "Well, I'll be happy to write your prescription for antidepressants if you want."
Wow.
So you asked me for a case study. Let me just tell you that when I said to her, hey, how come you never tried to find out why you get the hives? Her head, what? It just spun around like Exorcist, like, what do you mean? I said, yeah, you could maybe find out what was giving you the hives. And she, what? Never been offered that ever. Long story short, we ran a couple labs, found out she was very sensitive to some things in her environment and some foods. She's like, I eat that stuff every day. Well, no more. And within 9 days of eliminating some food, we changed some lifestyle stuff too.
Yeah.
We're looking around the house for chemicals and things like that. But she was amazed. And within 9 days, got off her medication.
I believe you.
And told her doctor, I found out why I have the hives. I eat eggs and these other things. And so then her hives went away. And she started working out to a sweat and taking hot showers. Two things she hadn't done in 2 years, take a hot shower or work out to a sweat, because even on the medication, those would give her the hives. So it completely changed her life, and it completely changed my life. Because I started realizing that, because that was a long time. That was well over 20 years ago. So then another one, pretty soon, if you work hard enough and long enough, you get lucky. You start recognizing these patterns of food.
And they're tailored. You're tailoring each one, right? Because each lab result is giving you a specific results. And so you're going into each person who comes to see you with a tailored plan on how to holistically heal. What's the holistic approach? What's the common holistic approach you find?
Well, the holistic approach has to include 5 elements. This is my methodology. And again, 10 years of working with people, no prescriptions allowed, just what can they do? So eating right, eating according to your own best genetic diet, minus the food sensitivity. So we always do the diet, take the sensitivities away. We also get people to rest and sleep and rest their bodies, rest their minds. You need to actually rest your digestion, and every cell in your body needs rest. Your mind, mental, emotional. So we teach people how to properly rest, and then exercise is critical. Everyone has different levels of what they can do or should be doing. And then stress reduction. Now, everyone's heard the word stress, and stress management seems logical, but man, there's hidden stress that people don't even know about. Food sensitivities is one of them. That corrects the diet, but also takes away a hidden stressor. So does parasites, bacteria, funguses, viruses, things like SIBO and stuff. There's overgrowth in your body that has to be identified. And finally, supplements. Now, that's another acronym, DRESS. So after we do the HIDDEN, we look for the hidden stressors and dysfunctions and healing opportunities. And we connect all those together and create a custom dress program. To your point, it's highly individualized. The lab work, we do 5 labs on every person. That's the investment. And there's no way to work around that, because I can't pick one. I can't guess. Just guess which one. Which one would you? No, I'm not going to guess. That's what's wrong with the system now. People, doctors especially, use the sounds like method. And in functional medicine, they need, you have doctors saying, well, it sounds like thyroid. And they run a thyroid test. God forbid it's low thyroid. They pat themselves on the back so hard. I hope they don't hurt their wrist, You're just finding one thing, not everything. So
it's not comprehensive.
You got to be more comprehensive if you're going to use holistic lifestyle medicine. So diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction. There's lots of kinds of stress. We assess all those. And then supplements. I don't have my own brand, but I know a lot about them. And we teach the proper usage of the proper types of supplements along with it, but they don't work if you don't, eat right and go to bed and exercise and reduce stress. Then supplements can be just supplemental, for what's missing from food, or you might want to support certain systems. like digestion or the adrenals or the something. And it can be used for self-treatment too. But that's a comprehensive, holistic assessment and plan. And that's where the health coaching comes in, is to run the plan.
Yeah.
You got to help.
I know it works because I suffered from adrenal fatigue when I was working about 4 or 5 years ago. Adrenal fatigue from, the cortisol level is like skyrocketed and you're on fight or flight mode all the time. And I have to tell you, the holistic aspect of it was the treatment, because that can trigger you for about 6 months or more. It could take a long time to actually overcome that, because this is chronic stress. Chronic stress will really do a number on your hormones. It'll do a whole number on your cortisol level. And so for me, it was the dieting, exercising, the things that you just listed that actually help until today. I did a supplement, but I'm off of it, but I kept the lifestyle, right? Because the lifestyle aspect of it that actually makes it more sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you talk about hormones, that's always been big area for me, because stress ruins the hormones. Your cortisol goes up, the DHEA goes down. That's the parent of your testosterone and your estrogen, DHEA. So these get out of balance and you end up in a catabolic state. High cortisol means your body's breaking down, and it'll keep breaking down to the point where you can't even make the cortisol anymore. Your negative feedback loops shut down, and now you have low cortisol, but you're still catabolic because your DHEA is low. And so the sex hormones go out of balance, your estrogen to progesterone ratio, and now you get all kinds of symptoms down that channel. But the other thing that happens is all the time that you were under stress and you had the high cortisol, you're shutting down your immune system. Your secretory IgA, which is in the gut, which it goes down. And then guess what? Now you have imbalance in the microbiome. You get good to bad bacteria imbalance. So you go from stress, hormones, sex hormones, then you go into the immune system. That starts to get shaky. Now you've got an overgrowth of the bad bacteria. Now you're not breaking down protein. You can't without the right bacteria. So guess what happens? You get protein malnourished in a sense. You get amino acid deficiencies. Now you got mood disorders, and you got things going on with amino acids and neurotransmitters, which they make. So it just gets wild. And from there, it just gets worse. It continues to go down. You end up kind of with leaky gut, bigger bugs come along, fungus comes along. You get biofilms, end up with leaky gut. Now you're going to end up with antigens and immune complexes penetrating into the humoral system. They go into the liver, they clog up the liver. Now you're not detoxifying right. You can see the downward spiral. And we have the labs all along the way. That's why we do multiple labs. The stress and hormone panel, the metabolic wellness panel. We do a mucosal barrier assessment. We do stool testing for all kinds of things, bugs, microbiome assessment, and then the food sensitivities testing. So there's some investigation to do when you have a chronically ill person.
Yeah, so it's not just I can't lose weight. There's a reason. We'll find out. These testing are able to reveal that for you. So it would behoove everyone to kind of take that in consideration. Like if you're hitting a brick wall with one goal, or you're seesawing in and out, up and down with it, then there might be another measure that needs to be taken to realize what's the root cause, what's the bottom, what is happening internally that I'm hitting this brick wall. And I agree with you, Reed. Tell me about some of the stuff you do in the morning to actually make sure you plateaued, right? So that you stay optimum. And let's talk about morning routines as well, like habits.
It starts with your point of view. And I do this with my wife. We actually speak out loud about what we're thankful for.
Yeah.
And really, we do. We have been practicing appreciation and gratitude. And a lot of it's just for each other, and that God gave us this beautiful life, where we get to help other people. It doesn't mean we don't have problems. We get our issues. Things come up in life, but it starts off at that point of view. And we go to bed early, go to bed very early and get a good night's sleep. The hours before midnight, I read this in different places, they're more valuable than the hours after midnight. And I've been looking for where that's very common in alternative health, natural health and wellness circles. You hear that a lot. And I have studied it. I wear this Aura ring now because I'm studying my own sleep and sleep patterns. And you know what? You do go into deep sleep. If you're tired, and I get up at 4:00. So, I'm by 8:00, I'm tired. I'm ready for bed. And my head hits the pillow. I'm usually right out. And I sleep very deeply. You can track your deep sleep. So you basically have 3 levels of sleep. There's REM sleep where you're dreaming, and there's light sleep. It's deeper. You're not dreaming. And then there's deep sleep. Your body's really going to work then to repair and rebuild and restore and recycle and all this stuff. You need a lot of that deep sleep. And you can actually sleep less if you get enough deep sleep. So you should be getting, if you get 3.5, 4 hours of deep sleep, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Most people are sleeping lighter. They're not getting quite the restorative sleep. You need all 3. And you can watch the pattern. It's fascinating to learn. So that's where, obviously eat right and then rest. So my morning routine, to answer your question, starts with, did I get a good night's sleep?
Right.
I actually want to start there. And you can get up at 4:30, 5:00. You can get work done. That could be exercise. That could be meditation. That could be prayer. Right behind the screen here, I have a sauna, and I'll go in there and I'll listen to my tapes and things like that. What I like to listen to.
Yeah.
Self-healing, self-help, manifesting, intention work, things like that. And so I start off mostly, it's not so much like hitting the gym. It's like hitting the mental gym.
Right.
You hit that mental gym and you got a chance.
Yeah.
You can show up for a podcast and do a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the show up. I like to say, how do you get up, dress up, and show up? The showing piece of it and the dressing up, the getting up is actually more mental. It's not putting on makeup. It's not grooming. It's not doing all this stuff. If you take care of the mental, all this will happen naturally. All the physical, you'll show up. You don't need the gym for it. But it really is, how do you mentally prepare yourself? How do you strengthen the mental muscle? How do you stimulate your mind? What are you feeding your senses? Especially those primal hours in the morning before the world runs away with your energy and your time and your attention,
Yes. Well, you can boost your own energy a little bit. And I'm talking about the mental power energy that can solve a lot of ills. Just starting with that right attitude.
Yeah.
I read a book once on a slightly different note, but by Brian Tracy. It's called Eat That Frog.
Yeah.
For your listeners, Eat That Frog is about taking care of what's bugging you first thing. They call it Eat That Frog. So you get up in the morning, you do your gratitude work, your prayer meditation, you give thanks, set your mind straight. For some people, look, it could even include makeup. I don't know. I don't do that myself, but getting your feet on the ground. I go outside. I do like to have a cup of coffee just about every morning. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I love it. And I don't overconsume it, obviously. But then you got to tackle something. And if you tackle your biggest frog, like, oh, geez, I got to fire somebody, or, oh, geez, I got to tell my wife I wrecked the car, or whatever it is, you handle your frog. The frog is something ugly that you don't really want to deal with. Do that next. And if you take care of your frogs first thing, the rest of the day is easy. You already did the hardest part, whatever that was. It could be, I don't know, whatever it is for you. Some people like going to the dentist. Just making the appointment could be a frog. It's like, I don't want to make an appointment. Take care of those tough things first, and the rest of your day is going to be Easy.
It's a lot easier to do in the morning because you have that willpower. Your willpower is at optimum in the morning when you do wake up. You don't have decision fatigue just yet. It hasn't hit you. So you're able to actually execute a lot
Yes.
easier. And if you do that, you have everything in your power, right? Working with you to make it happen. Then, like you said, it's a breeze from there.
That's so true. That's so true, Doc. You know, your meetings, like I have staff meetings, they're usually at 7 or 8 in the morning. And I've already been up for a couple hours. So I've already got some work. I'm ready at 7 or 8 to go. All my staff is like that. We're pretty much early risers, and we take care of stuff. We decide things. I have 40 people work for me. So I have, managers that I meet with all the time, my CEO, and then you got your banker, you got your financial stuff once a week. Those meetings, blah, blah, blah. You just get it all done. Hey, but every day by 2:00, I'm done.
By noon, I'm done. I'm up at 4 too.
Noon would, probably I average 1:00, but I'm just saying by 1 or 2, I am done. I can go outside. I have a property. I have a tractor I love to drive. I'm doing landscaping. I've planted over. I'm a gardener, kind of landscaper enthusiast. I love that. And I've planted over 2,000 succulent plants on my property here in San Diego area. I'll have you come out to the place. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to. So even like that mentally done too, it's sometimes my brain power is done at that 12:00. Like I'm like poop. So that's why I have to do everything when I'm at my optimal. When everything, the brain's working 100%, I get mostly done, because there's this thing about being productive and unproductive time spent. People work 8 hours a day. They're productive, 2 to 3 hours of those days, right? So it's just a lot of time just trying to multitask, jumping from one end to the next, one email after the other, but never really that intentional focus and actually getting deep work done.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And, it's good you said willpower. I wanted to just go back and say, sometimes it's discipline. Like if I leave it to willpower, hey, I'm a human too, like everyone else.
Yeah.
You got these subconscious programs running, and your willpower, you'll find yourself doing something and you wonder, what am I doing that for? It's not part of my will. I'm doing this subconsciously, just grabbing something. It's just a habit, so and on top of the willpower, that's great. If you can really put some discipline in there, like what you want more long-term than short-term, because short-term is not the way to go. You got to play long ball in almost everything you do. Play the long game.
Yeah, the discipline is going to give you the long game. And those habits, they're in place. There's a really good quote that says, we first make our habits, but then our habits make us. Because that's what you just alluded to. It really just runs with us, where we're acting subconsciously, where, sometimes we drive home, we don't even know how we got there. Subconscious, right? So that's the power. That's how powerful that subconscious is. And if you have the right habits in place, then you are going to soar. You're going to thrive, because you're going to be on autopilot, but with disciplines and principles in place for your success.
Yeah, it's a two-edged sword. That subconscious will get you home, and thank God, but when you get home and then you grab something that's bad for you out of the fridge or pantry, that's the bad subconscious. So,
yeah. So tell us, Reed, how can we connect with you? Where can we find you?
Well, let me just look at my, I came up with a special place just for your listeners, and it's fdntraining.com/best morning routine, right? So, I came up with this system, and we call it Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. It's known around the world now as FDN. If you see some healthy-looking people talking and they say FDN,
that's you. You take credit for it.
That's why they're healthy. No, hey, my lawyer was in Italy going through the terminal, and there was somebody there with their laptop studying FDN.
Yeah.
So FDN. So there's fdntraining.com.
Okay.
/best morning routine.
Perfect.
Best morning routine. For the best morning routine ever, I recommend people continue to listen to your podcast and follow you and listen to all of your guests. I'm sure they can pick something up from each one. I hope people picked up a little something from me today.
It was a phenomenal conversation. Thank you for sharing Hidden with us and the supplements and again, Functional Diagnosis Nutrition. We will put that all on the show notes. It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you, Reed.
Okay, thank you.
All right, morning enthusiasts, that's it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you love the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes or Google Play. While you're at it, tell a friend about the show. Be sure to visit bestmorningroutineever.com and our Facebook group to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our fantastic free bonus content. Until next time.
Okay, it's official. We are very much in the final sprint to Election Day. And face it, between debates, polling releases, even court appearances, it can feel exhausting, even impossible to keep up with. I'm Brad Milkey. I'm the host of Start Here, the daily podcast from ABC News. And every morning, my team and I get you caught up on the day's news in a quick, straightforward way that's easy to understand, with just enough context so you can listen, get it, and go on with your day. So, kickstart your morning. Start smart with Start Here and ABC News, because staying informed shouldn't feel overwhelming.